Content warning. The following show contains a host that smokes, some potty mouth language, discussions of fictitious violence, and a lot of things that might seem like motivational speaking. Viewer discretion is totally advised. Hey everybody, how you guys doing out there? This is Solar Gray, the Cinematic Sorcerer, coming at you from the Wizard's Tower. That's right. What we are doing today is kind of changing up the hours of the show. I know a lot of people are used to me being here 3 or 2.5 hours from now. Unfortunately, a couple of things have changed up, and I'm like, you know what? We got some other stuff that we have to take care of, okay? So, welcome to the dark side of the room. This is the show where we talk about gaming and life. You know, we talk about life, Lisa. What do you know? Do you know anything about life? I know you are tearing me apart, Lisa. I know it's an old meme, but guess what? I genuinely love that movie. Because I have this thing for anything that's kind of completed, you know? That's part of being the whole creative thing out there. And a couple of quick announcements. It turns out I ended up having to get a day job. Boo. And I have to be there in 90 minutes. So I'm like, if they keep calling me in like this, because y'all know how jobs go. You know, they write up a schedule type thing, and then they call, hey, can you? Hey, can you? Hey, can you? And your head is going, no, no, I got a life outside of you. And then your bank account says, I'm sorry, what? So, yeah, you know, you end up going, yes, I can go in. Yeah, 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 yeah. So, with all that, I have to juggle a little bit of the schedule, do a little retuning, and make sure that I can pay my bills, still be here, build a company, build a community, get the Patreon going, and all that other stuff. If you guys got any questions or anything on how do you pull that off, I don't know. How do you sleep? No, I don't. I don't sleep. Sometimes I close my eyes and see things, but that's not sleeping. But if you guys have any questions or comments or anything like that, pull up your keyboard and type in back in the deck at gmail.com. It's BACKINTHEDECK at gmail.com. You can also hit me up on Twitter at the same address at Back in the Deck, Instagram, but on TikTok you have to type in BidP, BIDPY. Why didn't I put BIDPEE? Well, if you guys are over 12 years old, you would totally understand why. And if you're a part of that wretched hive of scum and villainy known as Facebook, then join Deckers on the Book. So, and when I say join Deckers on the Book, I mean that. I'm like, join Deckers on the Book. That's our thing. That's our little gaming station. That's where we talk to each other about the stuff that we're building. Okay? So, I wanted to talk to you guys today about hard choices in gaming. Look, I have been running games. Oh, God. Let's see. I started playing in 1987. I started running them because I'm that guy that's like, I want to make sure I got everything right before I did. But I've been running games since 1991. Okay. Oh, howdy, Mellow Cello 007. Dun, da, 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 da. You know what? Let me give some love from a chat out here. Who is in my chat today? We got Mellow Cello, Black and White Now in Color, got Alisadra, Alien Gaming, Jana Wren is Nickable, and I think that's Shanawala. Yeah, Shanawala. I'm trying to get these names right and all that stuff. Um, and so yeah, I've been running games since freaking 1990, 1991. It's a big thing, you know. Oh my god. Um, it is seriously like a really big thing. And one of the things I come across all the time, especially with new players, you know? So like real talk with new players. There are things that I write into my campaign specifically because they make for good storytelling. Second, there are things that I don't write into the campaign that players, I don't want to say fall into, because falling in anything is really hard on your knees. Take it from a 45-year-old man. They step in and do their best to scrape off the bottom of their shoes, that kind of a thing, are hard choices. Okay, a lot of folks try and make hard choices or look at most choices as though they are inherently difficult to make, and this is what I want to talk about today. You see, I grew up in what I like to call the last bastion of a real childhood. Okay, this was a childhood that we got to go out. Actually, we didn't get to. We didn't have much of a choice, but we went outside. We rode bikes. We drank from the water hose because we weren't allowed to go inside the house. That was where the adults lived. All right, and you know that's grown folks territory. Yeah, you don't want to be in grown folks business. Right? That deal with the grown folks. That's it. That's what you do. But this is the thing. Being outside, there was a whole lot of choices that we had to make that I didn't realize at the time was priming us for the hard choices that we had to go through. Now, growing up a boy, that really made my choices a lot less difficult. Of course, the hardest choice was, do I risk getting in trouble if I gotta go inside to use the bathroom? Oh, my coffee! My coffee! All right, I've had enough of that. So, you know, like I gotta go to the bathroom, and do I go inside and, you know, risk getting in trouble to go to the bathroom, or do I find a tree? If I do find a tree, where's that tree gonna be? Is one of the neighbors gonna see me? All that other stuff. Okay, these were hard choices. Understand, guys, I was 8. But as I got older, I actually found myself having to make hard choices in a lot of different ways. Okay, seriously, in a lot of different ways. One of the ways. I got a big old puddle that I'm not cleaning up right now because I'm here for y'all. All right. Yeah, no, that's I'm just lazy. Anyway, making those hard choices as a kid. Do I go inside? Do I risk getting yelled at? Is mom drunk? It's that kind of thing. Those prime me for a lot of the hard choices I would have to make later. Okay? Evaporation is your friend. It's true, Neon Arlecchino. It's very true. Yes, things will evaporate, and fortunately, I'll make another cup of coffee before I have to get on the vehicle and go to work. Anyway, by the way, thank you in advance for putting up the invitation to the Discord. That's what I'm gonna say there. Yeah, that's kind of, look, that's gonna be your thing. All right, that's gonna be your thing. But thank you for showing up. Anyway, and over the years, especially recently, I realized that I, being one of the last bastions of having a childhood that required, or that didn't have a lot of supervision, so it required that we made a lot of choices. We took a lot of risks. You know, we did a lot of stupid things and survived. So Generation X is a little harder. Okay, we're a little harder inside because we don't take things as deeply to heart because we know that we'll survive. Okay, and this isn't me being ageist or anything like that. I've definitely noticed with the helicopter parenting that started in the 90s or came to prominence in the 90s, and the pushing of stranger danger and the one-man army thing that people have to be at their day jobs and just all of this stuff. Like there's so much pressure for people left, right, and sideways in so many different areas that when it comes to playing our games, living our lives, living in the 21st century, especially in the United States, which is the corporatocracy hell. We're having a meeting tomorrow night down at the docks. Anyway, yeah, there's this big cultural influx of risk aversion. Okay, risk aversion. And when we are stuck in our games or writing our stories or figuring out not just what to do with our lives, but hell, what to have for dinner sometimes, this paralyzation of choice tends to come in coupled with anxiety because we have to get everything right. We have to make the right decision. We have to. And I'm kind of the guy sitting in the corner going, do we? Like, do we have to get it right? I mean, seriously. Now, granted, I was kind of a dick when I was a kid. Kind of a dick. And by that I mean, I was that kid that was always asking why. Why was it so important? Why did we have to get it right the first time? What was the big deal? I didn't understand what the big deal was. And I'm like, why is it so important? Like, seriously, why? I don't get, okay, we got to get it right. But if we don't do it correctly, we still have time to repair it, right? So what's the, I don't get it. What's the whole thing? And I kind of took that with me into my adult life. Okay. So I find that when I'm at the gaming table as a player, okay, I'm not going to say I'm that guy in the campaign, but what I am is the one that doesn't tolerate a whole lot of deliberation. All right. I remember gaming with a couple of people, and these guys were real jerks. I mean, real jerks. They were literal, and I don't mean because they didn't share my gaming philosophy. I mean, they were bullies. All right. They were the dudes that are like, if you're going to play on my system, you do what I tell you to do. So, and if you're going to play, if we're going to play my board game, then you move your piece where I tell you to move. And I'm just like, then I'm not playing. You are playing through me. All I'm doing is being your hands. And I didn't come over here for that. I didn't, put gas in the car and drive 20 miles so that you had an extra pair of hands to play a game and then expect me to think that that's fun. All right. And a lot of the times there are tough choices, hard choices. All right. When you get to a place in a plot line where the old you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't kind of thing. But here's the thing. In life and in the best storytelling, which reflects life, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. But you're more damned if you do nothing. Okay? Now, as anyone who knows me in real life knows, one of my favorite bands is Rush. Okay? Seriously, Rush is one of my favorite bands. And the reason, like the song that put Rush in that pantheon for me, even before I started playing music, was their song Free Will. Okay? You can choose a ready guide in some celestial voice And if you choose not to decide, you still have made a choice. And I'm going, wow. My 8-year-old mind was like, if I make the choice not to decide, if I choose not to choose, then I've actually chosen. Them some words. Them's are some words for your behind. If I choose not to decide, I've made a choice. That's big. Okay, that's big. And that, literally, it's been almost 40 years since hearing those words that I can't let them go. Okay? So here's the thing. In the world that we live in, and the lives that we live, it's really, you haven't heard Free Will? Black and White, Now in Color. It was on the radio through most of the 90s. Yeah, it's called Free Will. It's off of Fly By Night, I believe, but you can find it on YouTube after you watch this. Anyhow, one of the things that I find that makes people so risk averse, and this is a telltale of the 21st century. Started in the 20th, but it really came into prominence in the 21st century post 9/11, is risk aversion in our culture is based on two things. And these are the things that would be wise to leave off of the gaming table if you want to have fun. Okay? One, risk aversion was put down to us through corporate America because they don't want to take risks. They want to assure profit. So, the certainty of success born out of greed. Okay, that is huge. Okay, that's huge. Okay, certainty of success born out of greed. You're greedy, so you don't want to take a risk, because if you risk, you could lose. If you don't believe me, turn on the radio. I know people don't really listen to the radio anymore, but the radio nowadays splits between two things, okay? Very overproduced, producer safe music that they know will sell, and stuff from the 70s and the 80s where producers did take the risk and it paid off, also known as classic music. Okay, and I'm not just saying classic rock. Like I turned on the radio the other day, and God, what song was it? It was So Hard. No. Into the Road from Boys to Men came on from 1991. I'm like, what what? Oh wow, that's funny. I'm like, are they throwing PM Dawn in here too? No, man, this is, and if I'm referring to rhythm and blues and hip hop, you know it was a long time ago. But yeah, I mean, I thought it was an anomaly when I heard Guns N' Roses on the oldies station where I used to listen to the Beatles. But now mostly every station is going, what they're playing, the hits, the successful stuff from the past, and the stuff that they play today sounds very, very safe and very, very samey, okay? Even if you listen to that type of music, it's still very samey. So what we get, and if you look on TV, pretty much all the same stories, and every Marvel movie, you guys have seen the complaints all over the time, okay? And the reason that this happens is because the people putting on the stories, paying for the stories specifically, don't want to make the hard choices, okay? They might make one or two hard choices, like with casting or anything like that, but everything is a business deal to assure profit, to shore up quarterly profit, and, greed. That's one thing you got to leave off the table if you want to have fun, because real talk, most of us play D&D or Rifts or GURPS or Nominee or the White Wolf system. We do that for fun. Okay? Not for profit, but for fun. These are the things that we do when we're not doing the stuff we have to do to make money. Okay, like work. All right. And the second reason that we're so risk averse. Okay, so the first reason of risk aversion in American culture is corporate greed. And the second is the pressure that was put on us as children and young adults to get everything perfect because anything could be taken away at any moment. All right. And real talk. Okay. Real talk. That is a big thing. Now, I hear some of you guys out there saying, what about anxiety and what about not feeling great about yourself? I get that. Those are all there. But that risk of loss is what's under that. We were made to fear looking stupid because we were afraid of losing standing, of losing friends, of being isolated. There was always going to be some sort of loss that reflected poorly on our character. Okay. And when we sit down at the gaming table or when we're doing a creative endeavor, those hard choices, were taught, at least to me and to a lot of people I know, as ways to really test someone's mettle. We get to really see what they're like. Real talk, okay? And this is really real talk. Those things, like testing someone's mettle, those are only part phrases. Like, did you know the old phrase, jack of all trades, master of none, is only half of the thing? The other half is, but it's better to have a jack of all than a master of one. Like, it's better to be a jack of all trades than a master of none than to be a master of one, because the masters at one are so good at that one thing, they're not very good at anything else. Okay, so you get where that comes from. And that whole pulling yourself up by your bootstraps thing was actually used, and you can look this up, by Theodore Roosevelt as an example of doing the impossible. Okay, it is impossible to grab one's bootstraps and lift oneself in the air. Okay, it goes against the laws of physics. All right. But the whole thing to test a character's mettle, I'm sorry to tell you guys, one choice, one error, one mistake. All right. And I was taught by a good friend of mine who was a master sergeant in the Army that all a mistake is an error gone uncorrected. We all skew left, right, side. We all mess up. And we all have to make hard choices. But the part that really tests our character, shows us who we are, shows the world who we are, and exemplifies who we want to be, are the choices that we make after the hard choice. When you make the mistake, what then? Or when you make the error, what then? When you behave poorly, do you own up to it? Do you fix the problem? Do you make excuses for it? Do you run away? Do you quit the game? All of those things are the other factors that go into all these things. But most of the time, we're going on these old axiomatic statements, okay? And with these axiomatic statements comes pressure to do the impossible, which causes the anxiety, okay? Now, I've always been a person, I got some sort of notice here. I've always been the person that's willing to take the risk and then clean up the mess that I make. Does it always work out? No, it does not always work out, but it works out enough for me to live a decent life. And it works out well enough for me to create decent things. Okay? You might find that the reason that your choices are difficult is because you have an ideal result in mind. An ideal outcome. Okay? If I do X, I'll get Y. Or if I do A, then I'll get B. And that whole assurance of B, the amount of ourselves that we put into the assurance of B, is one of the things that make our decisions difficult. Now, when there's no good options for your character is going to have to do something, okay? And, you know, hopefully it's not die, because if your character dies, that at least would be something, you know, but you can't do nothing. There's other people at the gaming table, even if it's virtual, that are very much, yeah, it's very much, what's the whole thing? Lost my train of thought. You got me there. Hack the system. Yeah, you know, not all of us are Captain Kirk with the Kobayashi Maru, and he did have to face that eventually. Okay, yeah, he definitely had to face a couple of Kobayashi Marus, thanks to Khan, who's actually not in the chat right now. However, like I said, since I look at so many things, like stories, every single, like, I love stories. I come from an oral tradition, guys. So there's a story in going to the bus stop as much as there is a story in going to get groceries. Now, we've covered a couple of things, okay? We've covered quite a few things on this show over the years, okay? The but and therefore formula that Trey Parker and Matt Stone uses, all of that jazz, okay? So with that, I gotta say, yeah, with that kind of thing, I gotta say, the but and therefore thing, the doing A will lead you to B, will result in success, but not in good story, not in adventure, okay? Hell, this was even covered on Rick and Morty when they were going against the president, and it started with them doing everything. It just becomes routine, okay? Go to a planet, do a thing, blah, 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 you know? And, so when that comes in, when that kind of thing comes in, things begin to sound samey. Okay, they begin to sound samey. And you take all of this wonderful creativity, all of this potential for ideas, and you stick it on the safe path. And and what ends up happening is, using music again as a metaphor, you get these wonderful singers like Ariana Grande and Lady Gaga and Sam Smith, and even I can't believe I'm gonna be saying this. What's his name? Redheaded Ed Sheeran. All these wonderful singers that all start to sing the same style with the same cadence. You can hear it in rap music, where everything is da 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 da. You know. Well, we got the Call of Fortnite here saying rushing to choose a choice is never a good idea. Maybe not in life when lives are on the line. Okay? Now, not all the time when life is on the line. Okay? Sometimes you have to be measured. But when it comes to writing stories, playing games, being creative, let's say rushing to a choice causes an error, causes a mistake, right? And there is the supervisor in your head going, it all looks like crap. Does it? Or does it give you the opportunity to make something different and possibly better than from where you started? Okay, that's a good question. I watch a lot of behind the scenes stuff, and I'm going to talk about the show Breaking Bad for a moment, so mild spoilers, okay? Sorry, mild spoilers. The episode where they introduced Mike Ehrmantraut, Okay, Mike, just Mike with his old dead eyes. That came from a mistake. Just came from a mistake. Um, After what's her name died, Jane. After Jane died, the writers were like, okay, now Saul, the lawyer, comes in and cleans up the body, but Bob Odenkirk wasn't available to film. He was filming something else. And they're like, well, what? Well, how do we fix that? Did they go, the whole thing is messed up? No, no, no. They created a new character, Mike. And then they called up, what's his name? I forgot his name. But he was available to be on set. So they introduced that character, and that character went on to be a fan favorite. Okay. Actually, mostly everything that Vince Gilligan does, from X-Files to Lone Gunman and all that stuff. Excuse me. So many legendary things came from a mistake. There's always the legendary story of Harrison Ford. Okay. The man who takes a lot of risks on set because he's been a curmudgeon since he was 10. The very famous scene from Indiana Jones where, the guy with the sword is doing all that stuff from Raiders of the Lost Ark. If you guys haven't, because I know there might be young people watching, yeah, the real talk is when Indy pulls out his gun and shoots the swordsman, it's because he had dysentery and he had to go to the bathroom. There was a whole scene around that. But Harrison ate the wrong thing, made a mistake, and we got one of the most iconic scenes in cinema. Like real talk, these things happen all the time. Just all the time. Seriously, again, another Harrison Ford moment. Empire Strikes Back. His line was, "I love you too," not "I know." But he was frustrated at Carrie Fisher messing up the line over 100 times. And it was like, "I love you." I know. But cut, print, wrap, that's it. And Benjamin Franklin said that necessity is the mother of invention. However, any engineer worth their salt, but Patton Oswalt says, "We found a way," means something went horribly wrong. Something went horribly wrong, and now we've got the mega leg. It's a chicken leg the size of a turkey leg, and if you like chicken legs, there you go. So yeah, real talk. Some of the greatest things in the world have come from mistakes and by accident. And the real talk is a lot of great things. I see that there's a big Star Trek discussion happening in the chat, and it warms my heart that I can't join. But the differences between Deep Space Nine and Voyagers are exactly that. Voyager is don't be sorry. Voyager was very risk averse because, Rick, screw that guy Berman, took over that show and wanted to make it marketable. He wanted episodic, he wanted out there, he really had a lot of control over Enterprise, and he wanted beautiful women and all of that stuff. But when he walked away from Deep Space Nine, that's when we got the Dominion War. They decided to take a risk on a serialized show while the boss was going, "No, because if people miss it, they're not going to, nobody's going to watch them." And the people were willing to take a risk and made one of the most beloved shows in the Renaissance of Star Trek, starting with the Next Generation going on until the Kelvin universe. Let's see. Yeah, Alfred Bester was created because Walter Koenig had a heart attack, so couldn't play the first character he was cast in Babylon 5. Exactly. Things happen. Adjustments have to be made. So, when you guys, and I got to wrap the show up because, again, I got to go off to my day job because it's my second day and I don't want to get fired. The fact that hard choices are going to have to come up. But that lack of trust that we talked about, trusting the other players, trusting your audience, trusting your GM, that level of trust being there encapsulates the trust that the people that you're playing with do not want to see you fail. Okay? They don't want to kill your character. They're not trying to kick you out of the game. Okay? No, that's you have to trust that you are in a safe environment. Second, you have to trust that whatever errors get made in play, whatever hard choices you have to make, that you're smart enough and creative enough to fix the problem that was created from the hard choice, to endure the difficulty of the choice that you made, and most importantly, to possibly take that mistake that was, that difficult choice, and take that path of that difficult choice and make something that's more beautiful and more awesome than would have come out had you taken the safe path. All right, so thank you guys. I really like being here today. If you guys got any questions or comments, if you guys want to keep talking about this, head on over to the Discord. Like, keep having your conversation. I love it when you guys interact with each other. And I love interacting with you guys when I have the time. So thank you guys for being here. If you guys got any questions or comments or anything like that, type in backinthedeck@gmail.com. That's BACKINTHEDECK@gmail.com. Hit me up on Twitter, on the Instagram. You can also instant message me on the Discord. Hit me up on TikTok, any of those places, and join Deckers on the Book to talk to everybody else, even some of the people that aren't on the Discord, and all that jazz. In the meantime, remember, when you guys are faced with hard choices at the gaming table, when you're painting, when you're writing, whatever it is that you're doing, okay? Take a risk. Take a risk. It's not a big thing. Even when you're on deadline, most of the time, it won't take that much it doesn't take that much energy to undo a small error taken by a risk if you catch it early. I mean, all of the places that I've seen in life that are super successful actually have the mantra of fail faster. Because every time you make the wrong choice, you have an opportunity of learning something really valuable other than don't do that again. Okay? People are complex and our minds are amazing, and so is yours. So if anybody tells you that you can't like what you like because of the circumstances of your birth, be it race, religion, creed, gender identity, sexual orientation, disability, neurodivergency, or your budget, shout out to those of you guys in trailer parks, you can tell any of those people to take those cards and put them back in the deck. I'm Solar Gray, the Cinematic Sorcerer. We'll probably be here around noonish time for the rest of the week, depending on my work schedule, because I am working nights, but they want me there at 2, so I won't be able to be here broadcasting at 3. And that may be how it goes until April 8th. So I will let you guys know how that is going. But in the meantime, I'm Solar Gray, the Cinematic Sorcerer, and I will see you next time on the dark side of the room.